Day 1, the lazy beginning. It was one of those mornings when the sunlight felt too bright, the alarm too loud, and the bed too soft to leave. Milo, a cute cat who loved naps and snacks, blinked at the clock. It was already 10 a.m. He sighed and said, "Maybe it's time to turn over a new leaf." That phrase means to start fresh or change for the better. Milo liked the sound of it. He imagined himself as a new version of Milo, active, focused, and full of energy. The kind of cat who wakes up early, plans the day, and actually does things. He stretched, yawned, and looked around his messy room. Books were everywhere, snack wrappers on the floor, and his to-do list from last week was still empty. "All right," he thought. "Today I'll be productive." He took a notebook and wrote in big letters, "My productive day." Under it, he listed 3 simple goals: clean the room, read a book, and learn one new English phrase. It looked easy enough. But as soon as he started, he felt sleepy again. Milo realized he was doing what he always did, procrastinating. That means delaying something important. He wasn't lazy, he told himself, just thinking before starting. But thinking soon turned into napping. When he woke up, the clock showed noon. Half the day was gone. He sighed, but instead of giving up, he decided to get the ball rolling. That means to start something, even if it's small. So he picked up one book from the floor and began reading. At first, it felt slow. His mind wandered and he thought about snacks. But after a few pages, something changed. The story pulled him in and soon he was reading with focus. The day was finally in full swing, when everything is happening actively and smoothly. Hours passed without him noticing. The room looked cleaner, the book was half finished, and Milo felt proud. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't just dreaming about being productive, he was actually doing it. But as the sun began to set, he felt tired. His eyes drooped, and his paws slowed down. He smiled and whispered, "Maybe it's time to call it a day." That means to stop working for now, to rest after doing enough. He lay down on his bed, feeling calm. He hadn't done everything on his list, but he had done something, and that was enough. He realized that being productive wasn't about doing everything perfectly. It was about starting, trying, and learning along the way. And as the stars appeared outside his window, Milo drifted into sleep, not as the lazy cat he once was, but as a cat who had truly turned over a new leaf. Day 2, the small steps. The next day, Milo woke up earlier than usual. The sunlight touched his face, and for once, he didn't hide under the blanket. He stretched and smiled. "Day 2 of being productive," he whispered. He looked at his notebook again. Yesterday's list had 2 check marks. That felt good. So he added a new one, try something new. He thought for a while. Maybe he could cook breakfast instead of ordering it. He walked into the kitchen, opened the fridge, and saw milk, bread, eggs, and 1 carrot. He decided to make an omelet. It looked easy in the videos he had seen. But soon, the kitchen filled with smoke. The eggs were burnt, the milk spilled, and the carrot rolled under the table. Milo sighed. So much for being productive. But then he remembered something he had read. Rome wasn't built in a day. It means big changes take time. He smiled, cleaned up the mess, and made a simple sandwich instead. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. After breakfast, he decided to go for a walk. The air was fresh, the park was quiet, and the sound of leaves made him feel calm. He noticed how peaceful mornings could be when he wasn't rushing or worrying. He sat on a bench and took out his notebook again. He wrote, "Tried cooking. Failed but learned. Went for a walk. Felt good. Learned a new phrase. Rome wasn't built in a day." He realized that being productive wasn't just about doing tasks. It was about noticing life, learning from mistakes, and enjoying small wins. Later that afternoon, he returned home and decided to clean his desk. It was full of papers and pens. As he organized them, he found a small note that said, "Dream big, start small." He smiled. That was exactly what he was doing. He spent the next few hours reading again, this time with more focus. The story in his book talked about a traveler who never gave up, even when things got hard. Milo felt connected to that traveler. He wasn't climbing mountains or crossing oceans, but he was fighting his own small battles against laziness, distraction, and doubt. By evening, the room looked brighter, the air felt lighter, and Milo felt proud again. He had learned another phrase that day, step by step. It means progress happens slowly, one small action at a time. He wrote it down in his notebook and underlined it twice. When night came, he sat by the window, watching the stars. He thought about how yesterday he had felt lazy and lost, and today he felt calm and capable. The difference wasn't huge, but it was real. He whispered softly, "Step by step, I'll get there." And as the moonlight filled the room, Milo smiled, knowing that tomorrow would bring another chance to grow, learn, and keep turning over new leaves, one day at a time. Day 3, the rainy realization. The next morning, Milo woke up to the sound of rain tapping softly on his window. The sky was gray, and the air smelled fresh. He stretched, rubbed his eyes, and smiled. A rainy day, he thought. Perfect for staying inside and doing something meaningful. He made himself a warm cup of milk and sat by the window, watching the raindrops slide down the glass. The world outside looked calm, almost sleepy, just like him. But today, he didn't want to waste the day. He wanted to do something that made him feel proud again. He opened his notebook and looked at the pages from the last 2 days. There were check marks, notes, and small drawings of himself reading, cleaning, and walking. He smiled. "I've really changed," he whispered. "I've turned over a new leaf." But then he noticed something. The last page was blank. He hadn't written anything new since yesterday evening. He tapped his pen on the paper and thought, "What should I do today?" After a few minutes, he decided to write a story, his own story. He wanted to capture everything he had learned in the past few days. He took a deep breath and began to write. At first, the words came slowly. He wrote about his lazy mornings, his messy room, and his endless naps. Then he wrote about how he had started small, cleaning, reading, and learning new words. As he wrote, he realized how much he had grown. The rain outside grew heavier, but Milo didn't stop. He was in full swing now, completely focused. Hours passed, and when he finally looked up, the rain had stopped. The clouds were clearing, and sunlight was breaking through. He stretched his paws and smiled. "I did it," he said softly. actually finish something. He read what he had written. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. It was his journey from laziness to learning, from doubt to discipline. He decided to share it with Bunny, his best friend. He sent a message. "Hey Bunny, I wrote something today. Can you read it?" A few minutes later, Bunny replied, "Wow, Milo, this is amazing. You've really changed. I'm proud of you." Milo felt his heart warm. He realized that sometimes the best reward for effort isn't success. It's someone noticing your growth, even if it's small. He looked around his room again. It wasn't messy anymore. His notebook was full of thoughts, and his heart was full of peace. He decided to call it a day. He closed his notebook, stretched, and looked out the window one last time. The sky was now golden, glowing after the rain. He whispered, "Every day doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real." As he curled up on his bed, he thought about how far he had come in just 3 days. He had learned to start, to keep going, and to rest when needed. He smiled and said softly, "Maybe tomorrow I'll get the ball rolling on something new." And with that, Milo drifted into sleep, peaceful, proud, and ready for whatever the next sunrise would bring. Vocabulary recap. Turn over a new leaf. To start fresh or change for the better. Procrastinate. To delay doing something important. Get the ball rolling. To start something. In full swing. When something is happening actively, call it a day. To stop working for now.